The Senate is in a quorum call.
I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Madam President, tonight, congressional leaders will mark what is hopefully the final somber milestone of the COVID pandemic. 600,000 American lives lost to the disease. It is particularly jarring at this moment, a moment of recovery, optimism, and hope, to remember the enormity of lives lost over the past 15 months. Not only that, we face the grim reality that these recent fatalities happened while Americans were on the verge of getting the vaccine. Some had their appointment just days away. So, as our fellow Americans are taking their masks off, going back to work, seeing families and friends, and returning, as they should, to life, let us remember those who cannot. Let us hold them in our hearts a little while longer. I'm reminded of the famous meditation by the English soldier and poet John Donne, who told us that, quote, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. So if a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. Any man's death diminishes me," he said, "because I am involved in mankind. Therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee." The bells have tolled for 600,000 Americans this past year, a staggering and incomprehensible sum. Remember them. Hold them in your hearts a little while longer. Now on a different subject. After passing the bipartisan U.S. Innovation and Competition Act last week and confirming the first judges of the Biden era, we will continue with major elements of our legislative agenda. Senate committees will continue working on a bipartisan infrastructure proposal to meet the demands of the 21st century. As I've said from the start, discussions about infrastructure investments are progressing on two tracks. One track is bipartisan. The second track pulls in other elements of President Biden's American Jobs Plan, which will be considered even if it does not have bipartisan support. Our Senate committees are working on both tracks at the same time. And as a reminder to the Senate, as I've said from the start, that in order to move forward on infrastructure, we must include bold action on climate. At the moment, both tracks are moving forward and progressing very well. In addition, before the end of the month, the Senate will vote on crucial voting rights legislation. Republican state legislatures across the country are passing the most draconian voting restrictions since the beginning of Jim Crow. Congress must take action to defend our democracy. Meanwhile, we will move more swiftly to confirm even more of the President's appointments, including several to the federal bench. Last week was run for the record books. The Senate confirmed the first slate of President Biden's judicial nominees. Not only were they individuals of immense talent and high character, they reflected the great cultural, geographic, and experiential diversity of our country. Among them was the first Muslim American to ever be confirmed as an Article III judge. Let me read a headline from this morning's Washington Post. Biden has nominated as many minority women to be judges in 4 months as Trump confirmed in 4 years. That's an amazing statistic. Women, especially women of color, have long been underrepresented on the federal bench. Along with President Biden, the Senate Democratic majority is working quickly to close the gap. In fact, in just a few hours, we'll confirm another outstanding, trailblazing nominee for the federal bench, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Judge Jackson will be the first of President Biden's Circuit Court nominees confirmed by the Senate, and we're starting right at the top. After the Supreme Court, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is the most important federal court in the country, with jurisdiction over cases involving Congress and the executive branch agencies. And Judge Jackson, nominated to the seat once occupied by the current Attorney General, is the perfect person for the job. She's a former federal defender. She clerked for Justice Breyer, and since 2013 has been a district court federal judge, a district court judge in D.C. She has all the qualities of a model jurist. She is brilliant, thoughtful, collaborative, and dedicated to applying the law impartially. For these qualities, she has earned the respect of both sides. Nominees to powerful circuit courts, especially the D.C. Circuit, are frequently controversial. But last week, a bipartisan group of senators in the Judiciary Committee voted in her favor. I greatly look forward to confirming this exceptional nominee in just a few hours and continuing to restore balance to a judiciary that's been thrown out of whack by former President Trump. After Judge Brown Jackson's confirmation, we'll turn to other nominees. We'll hold a cloture vote this evening on Lina Khan's nomination to the Federal Trade Commission and confirm her tomorrow. Tomorrow as well, we will vote on Kirana Huha to lead the Office of Personnel Management. And the Senate will have the opportunity to advance several other nominees as the week goes on. One final matter. Despite the fact that we are now almost 6 months into a new administration, the sins of the previous administration are coming to light. Late last week, the New York Times reported that the Trump administration's Justice Department delivered secret subpoenas for the personal phone data of at least a dozen people tied to the House Intelligence Committee, including members of Congress, aides, and even family members. One was a minor. This is a gross abuse of power. It's an assault on the separation of powers. The notion that any president, via political appointees, could manipulate our democratic system to tap into personal data has the fingerprints of a dictatorship all over it. This appalling politicization of the Department of Justice by Donald Trump and his sycophants must be investigated by both the DOJ Inspector General and by Congress. Former Attorneys General Barr and Sessions and other officials who were involved must testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee under oath. If they refuse, they are subject to being subpoenaed and compelled to testify under oath. The Justice Department must also provide information to the Judiciary Committee, which will vigorously investigate this abuse of power. The issue should not be partisan. Under the Constitution, Congress is a co-equal branch of government and must be protected from an overreaching executive. We expect our Republican colleagues to join us in getting to the bottom of this very, very serious matter. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.